Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ben Carter from the Indiana Department of Education. I'm the Director of Workforce and Innovation, and this is our first ever Innovation Webex, highlighting the Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing RPM program out of Augusta, Georgia. And I'm really excited about our Innovation Webex series. Today, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Innovation Webex series, a short overview and a brief of the grad pathways and kind of why we're launching this series. I'm going to introduce the Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing RPM team, introduce some of those folks that are joining us today, and then I'm going to let them give an overview of their program. Towards the end, we'll do Q&A. So if you have questions that come up or thoughts that you have, feel free to enter those in the chat box. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll facilitate a little Q&A. And we'll definitely be recording and posting this online for those of you taking notes and things of that nature. So again, my name is Ben Carter. I'm the Director of Workforce and Innovation here at the Department of Education. Previous to this role, which I've been in for about 9 months, I was the Career and Technical Education Director for Indianapolis Public Schools. And then prior to that, I was a work-based learning coordinator in Warren Township. My current roles and responsibilities, I spend a lot of time supporting schools and implementation of our new graduation pathway requirements. I do a lot with work-based learning, a little bit with dual credit, and then ultimately supporting schools with career exploration. For the monthly Innovation Webex, what we want to do is highlight innovative programming, not only within our state, but around the country that we've seen or that we've heard of, especially when it comes to innovative public and private partnerships, experiences that these programs or schools are implementing or integrating that align really well to the experiences and the requirements and graduation pathways, and then highlighting innovative work-based learning experiences such as apprenticeships, on-the-job training, career preparation activities, and things of that nature. So our first Innovation Webex for January 2019 is Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing, the RPM program. And this is a public-private partnership between Richmond County Schools of Augusta, Georgia, and Textron Specialized Vehicles, who have locations around the country, but this specific partnership is with one of their locations in Augusta, Georgia. I want to give a brief overview of grad pathways and kind of highlight why it's important to have these online videos highlighting best practices from around the country and within our state to show that this work is being done and really just highlighting how it can be done at a really high level. So there's 3 different areas and options in graduation pathways that students are required to fulfill. The first is earning their credits. So they can earn one of the 4 diploma designations, the Core 40, academic honors, technical honors, or the general designation. The second bucket is the students need to learn and demonstrate employability skills. And they can do this by participating in 3 different types of experiences: a work-based experience, a project-based experience, or a service-based experience. In addition to the experience itself, students are going to verify that they had the experience by completing a work product. And you can see those listed out. And the RPM partnership really highlights work-based experiences, and it's an integration of school and work-based experiences, and aligns really well to satisfying this part of the graduation pathway requirements. And the final part of graduation pathways, as you see 3 to succeed on the left-hand side, are the post-secondary ready competencies. So a student must meet at least one of the competencies. There's 9 different. They're listed in yellow. From the honors diploma, you have the ASVAB. We have industry certification on there, an apprenticeship, and then your CTE concentrator as well. We also have the locally created pathway. So there's a lot of alignment to what the folks of RPM are doing, to the post-secondary ready competencies, and they'll speak more to their program and the different credentials and experiences that students have as they progress through. I want to get to the important part of this WebEx, and that's the RPM team and the program itself. And so I want to give you a little background on the folks that are joining us graciously from Augusta, Georgia, and we're just so grateful to have them joining us today. So we're going to start out with Dr. Angela Pringle. Dr. Angela Pringle began serving the Richmond County School System as superintendent in September of 2014 after a nationwide search. Her priority for the 32,000 students in Richmond County is to increase student achievement through community engagement, communication, a high-performing culture and workforce, and operational effectiveness. Before coming to Richmond County, she held leadership positions in Virginia, Gwinnett, and DeKalb counties for more than 25 years, serving as region superintendent and principal at all grade levels, elementary, middle, and high. Dr. Pringle received a dual undergraduate degree in mathematics and business management from Everett University, a master's degree from Hampton University, and her doctorate in educational leadership from Virginia Tech. Dr. Pringle has received numerous awards for her work as an educator. Most recently, she was recognized by the University of Georgia with the Excellence in Educational Leadership Award. She was also the recipient of the Katie Hall Education Award, which recognizes educators for vision and leadership. Next, we have Dr. Jason Moore. Dr. Jason Moore is the principal of RPM and is responsible for site supervision, staffing, student instruction, operations, public relations, and communications for the Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing program for the Richmond County School System in Augusta, Georgia. Dr. Moore began his career in education 24 years ago, where he served as a science teacher and a coach at Butler High School for 7 years and at Burke County High School for 2 years. He then transitioned into administration, where he served as assistant principal of Cross Creek High School for 3 years. He then moved on to serve in roles of principal of Rollins Elementary for 1 year and the principal of Cross Creek High School for the last 8 years. He earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Washington and Jefferson College, his master's and specialist in educational leadership from Augusta State University, and his doctorate in educational leadership from Georgia Southern University. Next, from Textron, we have Carrie Thompson. Carrie Thompson is the Director of Operations of Textron Specialized Vehicles Manufacturing Headquarters in Augusta, Georgia. Carrie has more than 21 years of experience in the manufacturing industry, having worked for Kimberly-Clark prior to joining Textron Specialized Vehicles in 2011. While at Kimberly-Clark, she worked at 6 different locations, holding positions in engineering, program management, and operations. She served as the operations manager for the Beach Island Personal Care Plant for 2 years before joining the Textron Specialized Vehicles team. Carrie joined TSV as the plant manager and has held positions as the Director of Quality and Continuous Improvement and the Director of Materials. She is a native of South Carolina and earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering at North Carolina State University. She currently lives in the Evans area with her husband and 2 children, ages 15 and 16. Emily Gussert. Emily Gussert is the Human Resource Business Partner at RPM and is responsible for talent development, staffing, managing employee performance, discussions, policy information, and providing guidance to operations leadership staff. Emily graduated from Michigan State University with a degree in Human Resource Management. She completed the Leadership Development Program for Textron, where she worked at locations in Kansas, Massachusetts, and Georgia. Emily has been working at Textron for over 4 years with experience as recruiter and HR business partner. Most recently, she is working as a university relations leader for Textron Specialized Vehicles while continuing her work as a HR BP for the Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing program. And last but not least, Wayne Felix is operations manager at RPM and is responsible for the daily manufacturing supervision and operations for the Reaching Potential Through Manufacturing program for Textron Specialized Vehicles in Augusta, Georgia. Wayne began his 27-year career with Textron in September 1991, where he's held several positions in operations. Most of his manufacturing career has focused on quality assurance of final products and engineering research and development support for future product. For 2 years, he held the role of metrology specialist, where he certified the quality of current production and prototype parts. For 5 years, he served in the role of quality specialist, supporting daily golf cart and fabrication manufacturing. He then advanced to the role of quality engineer for 1 year, continuing to provide quality support to the final assembly and the fabrication. Wayne was later promoted to the role of quality manager for 4 years, providing quality assurance support to the Augusta facilities, Textron in Kennesaw, Georgia, and Textron's China golf car operations. Wayne has a bachelor's degree in business administration from Augusta University with an emphasis in management. So as you can see, I've read through their bios. We have a great group here. And I think, just reading through those bios and explaining who we have on the line, I think it just kind of really highlights that public-private partnership. And now I want to transition to this team that I've just highlighted. And we're going to start out with a brief video, and then they're going to roll into presenting on RPM and their program.
When I was 3 years old, my mother passed away from a drug overdose, and my dad was a very terrible alcoholic.
I beat someone up. I was put out of school, so I missed out on a lot of work.
When I was 4, I was diagnosed with leukemia. It caused me to miss out on school. I felt behind.
School was a play area for me. School didn't mean nothing to me. I just sat in the back of the classroom and slept or I skipped.
I got depressed. I started self-harm. I started starving myself because I never felt like I was good enough.
I had a bad attitude, real bad attitude. Nobody couldn't tell me nothing. This not where you want to be. It's only going to end you up 2 places, in jail or dead.
So good afternoon. This is Jason Moore. I'm the principal of RPM. And what you just heard was just some of the testimonies from some of our students, some pretty powerful stories. We're glad you joined us this afternoon, and we're glad to be here to share a program we started about 2.5 years ago in Richmond County in our partnership between Textron Specialized Vehicles and the Richmond County School System to address some of these issues that we have here in Augusta. I'm sure you have some of the same issues in your state, and these are nationwide issues of helping students, get back on track, gain a high school diploma, and along the way learn some valuable manufacturing skills here at RPM.
So before we dive into really what RPM is, we want to give some background on how this started and why this started. And this is I'm Emily Guthert, by the way, talking here, just so you know whose voices we are. But just some background on why we started this program. So about 3 years ago, Textron Specialized Vehicles was projected to grow significantly over the next 5 years, and it was going to affect our manufacturing workforce. So we were trying to plan how are we going to support the growth that we have. And what you see here on this slide is some of our brands, and just over the past 3 years, we've grown, and these are probably our most recognized brands that you see up here. So we are just looking at our strategic workforce plan and how are we going to support the growth that we have. And so to work for Textron Specialized Vehicles, we did some research, and 70% of our workforce comes from Richmond County, which is the county that we're in Augusta. And in order to work for us, you have to have a high school diploma, be able to pass a drug test, and a background check. So in order to work for us, you have to do all 3 things. And then we took a look at the graduation rate of Richmond County School System, and at the time, it was 65%. So when you look at the math, we were thinking, okay, how is this going to align if in order to work for us, you have to have a high school diploma, and we know 70% of our workforce comes from the county. And so we had to do some digging, some research into how are we going to support the growth that we have.
Thank you, Emily. This is Angela Pringle, Superintendent, and continuing with a little description, somewhat of a description of the district. While we are home of the masters and people think of us as being a very wealthy community, we have a huge number of students in our school system that live in just extreme poverty. And so Richmond County, better known as Augusta, is a rural urban population of citizens. We have a good number of our students living in an urban environment, while we also are surrounded by more rural setting. With that poverty comes a lot of social issues, things that keep our children from getting access to education. And the biggest problem we had was a lack of attendance. Kids just were disengaged and were not coming to school. In addition to that, we knew the numbers were not on our side at the time, and we're glad to say this is no longer, but at the time, our graduation rate was hovering around 65%. We had students who just missed too much school. The infrastructure at home wasn't there, the support system, a lot of single parents, generational poverty, generations of families that were just dysfunctional. Teen pregnancy prohibited a lot of our students from getting to the next level, and just getting to the point where they could get a job was just difficult for so many of our students.
So based off of all of this information, we decided we need to make a change in order to support our growth. And our vice president of supply chain at the time, Jason Elford, he's an avid reader, and he found an article in the Harvard Business Review about a program called 12 for Life, which is through Southwire, located in Carrollton, Georgia. So we took a trip down to see the facility, took a look around, and saw what they were doing was really great and thought that we could benefit from that. And at first, the team, when they saw the article, they thought, you know what, we'll go check it out, but I don't know if this is going to be what we want to do. What happened was we left the parking lot after seeing the facility and everything that they were doing at Southwire and thought, we're going to start a school. And this was probably in the end of 2015 toward heading into 2016 when all of this was taking place. And so that's what started our project of getting everything ready. So
at that point, after Textron really initiated all of these first pieces with their workforce development needs, they contacted the school system with the leadership, Dr. Pringle and her leadership, and Dr. Bradshaw. And she sent a team down to Carrollton to take a look at Southwire and to see if this was a match for Richmond County. Right after that is where came back with a visit in January of that year, Dr. Pringle and the Board of Education to get their approval. Saw some of the same things of kids working in a manufacturing environment, getting back on track. And we knew this was something that, from that point, this is where the project started. So this is our partnership. As you can see, the slide is called Reaching Potential to Manufacturing. It's our partnership between the Richmond County School System and Textron Specialized Vehicles.
And as we started this program, you know, the mission set out to be how are we going to grow our workforce, but centered around that is a much more, I guess, valuable mission statement of what RPM truly is, and it's more than just growing our workforce. And so I'll go ahead and read our mission statement here. The program mission is to help students gain extra motivation to graduate and enjoy better lives by providing students with classroom instruction, on-the-job training, key work, life skills, mentoring, and employment opportunities. The RPM program helps them stay in school, graduate, and go on to become successful, productive members of society.
So this is Wayne Felix, and what we learned is that we had three projects in one that we had to work through in order to get this program started. So we had a school with classrooms that we had to set up. We also had construction that we had to think about, and we also had to think about manufacturing as far as what the kids were going to manufacture. So in that little short timeline that was just given, we had to find a building or a facility that would pretty much give us these three projects in one. And so the school system had a transportation department that was near to the two facilities that Textron, that they would be providing to Textron, and so we decided to set up camp there. So we actually started to construct and set up classrooms. We had to set up an office space, and we had to also think about a manufacturing area as far as where the students would produce parts and warehousing. In addition to that, we also had to think about security. So we had our EHS department, and basically the same departments within the Textron facility that would be at this facility as well. And from the construction side, we finally got the building finished and prepared for class to start that fall of 2016. And then we had to decide about manufacturing as far as like the sub-assemblies that we put in here. So we initially started out with 80 sub-assemblies that we felt that full-time employees put together that the students would be able to put together and be successful in building quality product. So it's grown since then, but we actually started out with 80, and we've gotten to over 100 now, and that's where we stood as far as starting that off.
So our first day of school from that initial meeting, like Emily said, was in 2015, and then in that trip in 2016 of January, we had a very quick timeline. as Wayne went through the 3 parts of the project. Our first day of school was going to be August 2nd, so we had 8 months and 15 days, and we counted every day. We started with 75 students, so we jumped in with a pretty big cohort of students. We run 3 shifts of students at that time, so and Wayne's going to go through the time of the shifts, but our manufacturing day goes 12 hours along with our school day. And just to let you know how we recruited the students at that time, that was around the spring of that 2016 year. Students can apply at their home school, or they're recommended by their principals or teachers. Parents sometimes will stop by, but we have an application process that the students fill out an application, give us all their information, and then we take those applications from our schools. In our school system, we have 8 high schools that feed into us. We're a program. We're not a school, even though we have classes on site. Students are co-enrolled with us. But we target the most at-risk students in the school system, and we use a rubric that was developed by Southwire and 12 for Life. So we just replicated that rubric, and we have that available for you if you need any of our documents. And the criteria is the students that have really the worst attendance receive a high rating, that are off track when they're with their credits, poor academic performance. They may be in a tough financial situation, in a poverty situation. And then there's a counselor priority rating, where the counselors in the schools that are sending us the students may know if the students are in a tough situation. They may be a teen parent, the parents may be incarcerated, some type of really tough situation, and that's how we put those students on a ranking system and a waiting list, and that's how they are brought into our program. So we've gone through and we're going to give you day-to-day the schedule, giving you a lot of information about the program. We have a video we want to show you on this next slide that kind of shows you actually what it looks like.
Well, the RPM program is reaching potential through manufacturing. We have a partnership between the Richmond County School System and EasyGo Textron that we've developed over this last 6 months. Basically, the kids come in and they are working a 4-hour shift, part of their school day, going to school the other half of the day.
We all have the same goal here, to get these kids to graduate and give them some manufacturing skills that they can use in the real world.
I see it as an opportunity to reach some that may have fallen through the cracks. Attendance issues, behavior issues.
To be off track in your credits and your graduation. You may be in a tough economic situation, maybe some poverty.
They've been told their whole lives, some of them, that they're not going to be anything. So we come in every day and tell them you're going to be great. And we demand greatness from you. So that's what the RPM means to me, is greatness. Day-to-day operations, we make subcomponents that go to the vehicles at the main plant.
It's the small things like the tail lights. For instance, we have to make the tail lights, the brake pedals for the golf carts, the brake cables, the brake lines that run through the golf carts.
Being able to build these sub-assemblies and kits, they kind of feel empowered, realizing that a company or a big corporation like TSV is trusting them. And I think it almost gives them authority or responsibility in their day-to-day life and holds them accountable, not only for their schoolwork, but for the kits and assemblies that they're building.
So we really push the education piece because that's the most essential. Some of these kids I motivate every day. Go on and further your education.
Yeah, but one teacher teaching social studies and language arts. We have a teacher teaching science, and then we have a teacher teaching math. So if they were behind in the class, they're able to catch up on that class, finish that class in 9 weeks, and then get on to the next one so they can catch up. And some kids have the opportunity to graduate early.
Kids are flourishing, and I think not only rebuilding the foundation that they may have lost, but exceeding maybe their expectations, our expectations of where they can go.
So everybody's bought into the program, from the teachers on down to the students. we all want to see this program a success.
I want to give them a sense that no matter where you start, it doesn't determine where you finish. It's the effort you put in between. And so that's like my motivation every day, is to try to enhance a better quality of life for these young people.
So to give you a little bit more information on the video you just saw, to kind of go through just a rough breakdown of the daily activity with the students on the work floor. So we have 3 shifts, and each shift is 4 hours. So the first shift students, they arrive at 7:30. Transportation and breakfast is provided by the school, and then they work with Textron. They start at 8 to noon, and they have lunch directly after that, and they take life skills and job skill classes from 12:30 to 4:30. The second shift students arrive at 7:30. They take classes from 8:15 a.m. to 12 p.m. They get their lunch, and then they come to work at 12:30, and they work until 4:30. The third shift at that time, they spend all day in school from the time they get here, and then they start their work hours from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. And all shifts are provided transportation by the school system to and from the job site. And just to give you an idea about some of the sub-assemblies that you saw in the pictures, for the most part, with the golf cart, the students are responsible for building parts that related to the steering systems, the braking systems, and the electronics of the golf cart. So a lot of the parts you're seeing in this video, they've been built by full-time employees for over 60 years for golf carts that were always responsible for full-time employees. So now you have students that are actually building these parts, and they're actually providing and keeping assembly lines going on a daily basis. So in addition to that, we also support parts and accessories. So daily, we receive requests and orders for parts and services. So a replacement part for golf carts that have been probably in use 15 to 20 years, they're also making parts for them as well. And on a daily basis, we do what we call a kickoff meeting. The students are also following what the full-time employees follow. So they start off with a daily kickoff meeting, and we go by a standard that we use as far as like safety first, quality second, productivity, and just day-to-day activity. We try to teach the students respect and have 4 team leaders that are supporting the students and 2 materials handlers. So in a daily basis, you may see a safety manager, an auditor down here, and we're stressing safety and having pride in our work and building these components. So these students are actually keeping a Textron facility working and producing parts every day.
So I just wanted to add a couple of things too with our daily operation. Just you may have some questions. You're talking about pathways. We do the manufacturing. We offer the manufacturing pathway here with RPM. Students actually will receive credit for the work they do during that 4-hour shift. We do manufacturing 1, robotics, and then the advanced is the year 3 pathway class. We do follow that up. We have a manufacturing teacher on staff, so they will fill in the gaps that the floor is some of the theory behind the manufacturing pathway that the floor doesn't provide. But we also have a staff here of 4 core teachers: math, science, social studies, language arts. I have a counselor and a secretary. So we have, when you saw the kids in the classrooms there, we have teachers on site, so the students won't go to their home school. They take class here, and then they go from the floor, which is right outside of the windows of the classrooms, and then they just switch based on their shift.
We also realized that students needed support. We were speaking to students who had different challenges, and so relative to meals, students who are here at the breakfast hour receive breakfast through our school nutrition program, lunch as well. And right from the start, grant funding enabled us to provide dinner meals. We provide transportation for our students, regardless of the time that they get off, through a shuttle system. Tutoring is afforded to all of our students, which is a district-wide expectation, but certainly expected here at RPM. And summer school is provided for our students. While they continue to work throughout the summer, earning credits is important as well.
Students now they're gainfully employed. They earn $8 an hour while they're working here at RPM. We do have a $1 an hour incentive for perfect attendance for 2 weeks to work on those attendance issues. It's not an either-or situation. A lot of these students are faced with either I go to school and work towards my diploma or I go get a job. A lot of these students have to get a job to support their families. They can do both here at RPM, earn their high school diploma, gain some great job skills working for Textron. We work on financial literacy and soft skills. We build resumes here. We have a Jobs for Georgia graduate coordinator here that works with us, which is part of Jobs for America's graduates. I think you may be familiar with that in your state. And so it's just a great pride builder. They're getting their hope back, and they have a vision of next steps. We talk a lot about the high school diploma and beyond. A lot of these students will go to Textron to work for them, to other workforce, tech school, military. Just we've opened up the door for some options.
And the wage does exceed the minimum wage, standard minimum wage for Georgia. So they do earn more than if they were working at a local restaurant or something.
So these are not excuses, but some of our challenges from some of the stories you heard from our students. And again, you probably have these in students and some of these stories and challenges that all of our students face each and every day. Some of our students that are homeless, parents that are incarcerated, been abandoned, teen pregnancy, and so forth. One of the things that we realized here at RPM through that first year is outside of the program, we had a lot of our students, the majority of our students that were turning their attendance around, really starting to get it as far as their academics. They were coming to work every day. They were getting the paycheck and the support, but we were still losing some students throughout that the program in itself couldn't support. So we had, working with the company, we looked at our turnover rate, and we probably had about 35% that first year of kids that were still falling out of this program. And one of the things that we put together after that first year was a family action team with a nonprofit in Augusta called the Augusta Partnership for Children, which kind of brings together grant monies, funding for teen prevention programs, some homelessness, and some different programs. And we formed a family action team on the second year, and really just to bring wraparound services to the program to really help us reduce that turnover rate. I think after the first year, we dropped it almost in half from like 35% turnover rate that first year to about 17%. And basically what that action team is, just to kind of another strategy for you, is our own case management team here made up of some of the members of that Augusta partnership. They meet with us here at RPM last Thursday of every month, and we share some of those really intense stories of some of our higher tier students in need that you can see will have housing needs, the trauma-informed piece, which I think is big now in schools, being a trauma-informed school and school system where we have some social workers that come and help us, healthcare, counseling, transportation needs. So we're able to pick up the phone now and meet with this team if we have a mental health issue in the family, if we have a homelessness issue. So when we started to dig in and meet those needs outside of just the paycheck and the manufacturing piece, we started to see that we were able to sustain our small workforce here and hold on to our students a little bit better.
So just to kind of bring this full circle, after we've been doing this program for 2.5 years, what does the data show and what's our impact with this program? So I'm going to touch on the high school diploma. As of the end of last year, we've had 113 total graduates with their high school diploma. And the effect that that's had on Textron specialized vehicles, we've been able to give out 40 full-time offers to these students. So we typically will hire about 1/3 of the graduating class. And the 2/3 that do not get hired they may not be interested in working for Textron Specialized Vehicles. Some of them are wanting to go on to school or pursue another area outside of manufacturing. Some will join the military, and just to give you a basis of where other students go. But we do have a teacher from that Jason already touched on that will follow them for a year and help them find work that they're looking for, or from school and military. So from the Textron Specialized Vehicle side, this is the impact that we're seeing as far as the graduation rate. And we have our December grads have their graduation ceremony on Saturday. We do an extra celebration with them, and our TSV, RPM family all get together and celebrate those that graduate every semester.
So if you look on the right-hand side, I'll just touch on attendance. I think is the biggest piece of students re-engaging in the work. I think it's first, being successful in making the parts and working on the floor and gaining a paycheck. And then we start working on academics. A lot of these students that have missed upwards of 50, 60, 70 days of school, the previous year now had perfect attendance. So you can see our data. Our first year, we had 93% average daily attendance. This cohort coming in was about 84%. And so we've been able to average that the last few years, about 93%. That's about 6 kids per day out of our 100, I think. And summer school is a little bit higher. And that continues to be, I think, the biggest piece of just getting them re-engaged, getting them back to school. We find a lot of superstars both on the work floor and in the classroom. They just weren't going to school. It could have been because of their life challenges, or they just weren't engaged in regular high school setting. Now we've just extended the classroom out to the manufacturing floor and given them the different opportunities. So we see some good stuff there.
So it's not what's next, it's who's next. And as we work with our community to save our children, we've seen our graduation rate at 78%. We project it will exceed 80% next year. These types of programs and pathways do allow our students to engage academically and with a career option that they consider. As you heard, many students do not choose a manufacturing pathway post-secondary, but it gives them, they leave here with great work skills, good habits, and a higher, a better belief in themselves. They really, really, really leave here with so much hope for the rest of their lives and what will happen. And again, this program, this whole opportunity is about hope. One of our visitors there in Indiana said, we're giving kids hope every day. And that's exactly what we see it as. It's an opportunity to take our children to the next level.
I feel motivated to do a lot more in life.
I'd rather be here than any school.
It makes me feel good because they really care about you. They really care about you.
I really appreciate the RPM program because it showed me that I have a purpose. And it's amazing that I feel like I'm worth something now.
They love all of us. So with the love and the care and the motivation that they give us, it's gonna push me through. It's gonna push me through.
Thanks.
Okay, and what that video covered was just some student testimonies and how RPM has truly affected their lives and how they feel they can go on to do great things. And our last slide here is just our contact information. If anyone wants to reach out to us and learn more, we are more than happy to set up calls. We've had visitors from the state of Indiana come, so if anyone's interested, we're more than willing to provide you more information, anything that we have.
Yeah, just hearing the students' voices and hearing some of the stories, make me tear up a little bit over here in Indiana. But anyways, I really appreciate the story that you've shared and just the innovative ways you're thinking about serving students. And, wrapping around the students and then providing them with some of those critical employability skills to help them feel confident to take those next steps and be successful after their secondary experience. So super impressed with the program. I think this is excellent. We had one question come in, and then I have a couple questions of my own. The first question, just in terms of certifications, do the students, are they able to earn any industry recognized certifications or credentials throughout their time in the program?
The students that are in the manufacturing pathway can earn the certification through the Department of Education passing the end of pathway assessment. And so at the end of the program, if they pass the EOPA, they'll receive that through the state. We are currently in conversation with one of our local tech schools, Augusta Tech, to offer students a Move On When Ready option that qualify for early placement in the tech school that we have here in Georgia. We call Move On When Ready, where they'd be able to get college credit from the tech school for the same work. So we're working towards developing that pathway and that manufacturing certificate with Augusta Tech.
That's great. That's great. I'm just curious, return on investment. If you could speak a little bit to that, not only just from like a financial and an HR perspective, but also the impact on some of the full-time employees being able to work alongside the students. Can you speak a little bit to that?
From the manufacturing side, so there's like great interaction between the team leaders and the students. I oftentimes myself witness students that are looking for team leaders for advice or willing to share, maybe hardships and things that they're going through that they wouldn't be able to talk to anyone else about. And at the same time, the team leaders are always sharing stories about how they go home fulfilled that they've been able to assist a student that may be going through hardship. So they're usually coming to me trying to do more than what's required and trying to go above and beyond to try to meet the students' needs.
And just to chime in on that, as Wayne mentioned, at one point, all of these sub-assemblies were built by full-time employees. And so there became a point of the project where we had to notify the full-time employees who are currently building the sub-assemblies that they would be moving to students. And so we provided our full-time employees with the background on the program and how what they were doing was going to change, and they were no longer going to be working on the sub-assemblies, but moving to another area of our manufacturing facility. And I always love this story because one of our full-time employees, who has since retired, but she got up in front of the group and said, "You have to do this program. This is what our community needs. And please, whatever you need to do, if you need to move my sub-assembly, do it. It's for the betterment of our company and the community." And I think that just shows, how we were able to accomplish what we did in such a short amount of time. We had the support we needed from our employees and the community.
That's awesome. Super cool. I think it's amazing. The students are, you said they start out potentially 80 subcomponents for the golf carts to now 100. It's just amazing to kind of see that growth. And I think you mentioned the current enrollment in the program was around 100. Is that correct, Dr. Moore?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And then I'm just curious, maybe this is a question on the school side for Dr. Moore, Dr. Pringle, just in terms of funding for the program and how you've accomplished, making sure that you have the necessary wraparound services. I know you spoke about the nonprofit that helps with that, but just in terms of staffing and things like that, can you speak to some of the decisions that had to be made in that area?
So in Georgia, if you staff classes, it's called the REP formula, Remedial Education Program Formula Size, which allows you to have smaller classes, and also our CTAE, when the kids are enrolled in a pathway, that allows us to access funding through CTAE at the state level. And because our classes are small, we're able to access funding that support at-risk children. And that takes care of the teacher side. The local dollars do pay for the principal's salary. Principal salary is funded locally. However, we earn our teachers through our funding formula. The transportation comes from a combination of areas. One is through general fund, local fund, and then the other is through our Title IV funding, those innovation dollars, those new dollars that are getting out there to school districts. And so we use part of those funds to pay for transportation, because we do have students that we take home at 9 o'clock at night, and that is a cost to us. And so there's a commitment from our Board of Education and myself to combine local funds, state funds, and grant funds to support this program, because we realize we have 113 students that could potentially be dropouts, and they've graduated. And you know, you spoke to return on investment, so I'm digressing a little bit, but from the family perspective, you're changing the lives of an entire family, because kids are going home, speaking to work habits, the wraparound services support the entire family, and we're changing families. And if you can change a family, you can truly impact an entire community. So yeah, we use a combination, and we have a commitment. We set our own millage rate here, so we have a local tax base that we use to support part of this as well.
That's awesome. That's excellent. And you know, this is the type of program that we really want to highlight, and I'm excited for you all to be the first innovation Webex that we've done here for the state of Indiana. And I know that you have your contact information posted on the slide, and so assuming you're open and willing to folks contacting you with additional questions.
Yes, we are definitely open to that.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think that's the end of our time today, and I just want to thank you all again from Textron and Richmond County Schools for presenting on your program, and just continue to wish you the best of luck. And thanks for sharing that with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great afternoon.